Tonight at 8, the storms came and went, but we're on to the next round.
Isolated thunderstorms moving across the Front Range tonight and again tomorrow. I'll let you know if we'll have heavy rain involved with these storms.
The Department of Justice is to look at any possible criminality.
The Justice Department's investigation into the deadly January 6th attack on the Capitol now includes questions about Donald Trump.
I overheard the president say something to the effect of, I don't care that they have weapons. They're not here to hurt me.
What this means for potential charges against the former president.
We pursue justice without fear or favor.
Fans wouldn't let a little bit of rain get in the way of their chance to see the Broncos return.
We ended up getting out here about 5-ish yesterday. This is definitely the biggest hype we've seen in a long time, for sure.
Training camp officially kicks off with the first look at the team's new star quarterback in action.
I'd like to see Russell Wilson. I'm excited to see him and what he's got to bring to the team.
We begin with a live look over Denver tonight. We're seeing more clouds as another round of late night storms makes their way to many parts of the metro.
Meteorologist Stacey Donaldson is tracking all those changes and joins us live with more. Stacey, is it going to be hard for me to fall asleep again? Last night was rough.
I mean, was it weather related? Then yes, perhaps, because we do have chances for storms in through the overnight hours tonight. We already have some strong thunderstorms to our north and to our east. A severe thunderstorm watch was just issued for the northeastern corner of Colorado, and that's until about 1 a.m. this morning. So we're going to keep a close eye on these strong thunderstorms that are moving this direction, especially ones from just north of Fort Collins toward Purcell. And we're going to be seeing a cold front move through our area within the next hour or so. We also have strong thunderstorms across the eastern plains toward Yuma and Ray, where we also have severe thunderstorm warnings. At this point, we don't have any rain yet, but we are expecting it to move on down across the Front Range as we go through the later evening hours. Evening storms, the most intense will be through northeastern Colorado, where we have that severe thunderstorm watch in effect until around 1 a.m. Our temperatures tonight will drop into the 70s after 9 o'clock, and then we have chances for thunderstorm activity from 10 o'clock on. Should be clearing up by the early morning hours, but yes, we still have chances for rain in our future tonight, and it could be heavy at times. We even have better chances tomorrow with lots of flood watches and warnings in effect across the state. I'll have all the details coming up.
It's not over yet. Thank you, Stacey. Well, recent flooding is reminding cities to be prepared for what Mother Nature brings next.
Denver 7's Colette Bordelon joins us live from Inglewood, a community with a difficult past when it comes to flash floods. That's changed the way that the Public Works looks at that issue. Colette?
It's been almost exactly 4 years since this stretch of South Tacoma Street and Inglewood flooded, and ever since then repairs have been happening underground to try and make sure that a situation like that never happens again. Now that flood, which it killed one woman in this home named Rachel Haber, who was just trying to cat sit for a friend. Neighbors say that home, which you can see on your screen, has since been remodeled. In the aftermath of the flood, those with Public Works investigated how the storm sewer system was or wasn't working and the areas they needed to invest in to make it better. They prioritized a list of projects, and this area is one of the projects at the top of the list. They've enlarged or replaced the pipes here, added ways for water to get into the system faster, and downstream, they've built a large stormwater detention pond that will allow for more water to be stored.
This reinforces the need to do proactive maintenance on our system, to continually make sure that we're providing good service to our citizens and making the necessary investments in our infrastructure to keep up with what Mother Nature deals to us.
The third phase of that project should be completed by next year. Coming up on Denver 7 at 10, hear from one of the neighbors who was living on this street when that flood came through in 2018. Live in Inglewood, Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
Colette, thank you. An abrupt turnaround. Senators Chuck Schumer and Joe Manchin announced they reached a deal today on health care, energy, and climate issues. The two Democrats said the Senate will vote on the wide-ranging measures next week, setting up the Democrats and President Joe Biden for an unexpected victory in the run-up to the November election.
The latest moves by the Department of Justice indicate investigators are zeroing in on former President Trump and his closest allies. In fact, the DOJ's investigation into efforts to overturn the 2020 election may be further along than many previously thought. So sources tell ABC News while Right now, there's no indication that the DOJ is specifically targeting Trump in its criminal inquiry. Prosecutors have been asking former administration officials in grand jury interviews about Trump's involvement in the efforts to subvert the election. The Washington Post also reports that federal investigators have obtained phone records of key Trump administration officials. Attorney General Merrick Garland spoke in an interview with NBC's Lester Holt and didn't rule out potential charges against Trump.
We'll hold accountable anyone who was criminally responsible for attempting to interfere with the legitimate, lawful transfer of power from one administration to the next.
Meanwhile, the House January 6th Committee's parallel January 6th investigation is also ongoing. We heard today that lawyers are still taking in new testimonies and plan to share more details in the coming months.
Most Americans believe former President Donald Trump acted unethically after the 2020 elections. A new SSRS poll reports that 79% of people asked say Trump acted at least unethically in trying to stay in office, losing the election. The poll also finds that 69% of Americans considered the January 6th attack on the nation's capital a crisis or major problem for American democracy. Researchers also found that 97% of Democrats say Trump acted unethically. 55% of Republicans agreed with that statement.
President Joe Biden is facing some tough feedback from his own party. 75% of Democrats say that they want someone other than Biden to get the 2024 nomination. That's the latest from a CNN poll of registered voters, and analysts attribute this result to frustration over the economy and rising inflation. And meanwhile, and this may be more surprising, the poll shows that 55% of Republicans do not want former President Donald Trump to be their party's nominee come 2024.
I've been a Broncos fan ever since I was a little kid, so I mean, just to have that energy back, it's very exciting. I'm super glad to be here.
Broncos football is back. A sea of orange and blue made its way into the UC Health Training Center for day one of training camp.
Denver 7's Brian Wang caught up with fans who had been waiting outside the gates since yesterday. Who wouldn't let a little thing like sleep get in the way of being there to welcome a new era of Broncos football?
It's no weather for camping, unless you're a die-hard Broncos fan.
It's been in my family my whole life.
This fan enduring heavy rain overnight.
We had a tent for a little bit.
To be the first inside day one of Broncos training camp. Hundreds waiting in line with one goal in mind.
I can't wait to see the players.
More specifically,
I'd like to see Russell Wilson.
Excited to see Russell Wilson for the first time practicing as a Bronco.
And then it was time. Crowds rushing in to find the best view of the Broncos, players throwing the ball back and forth with the fans, and finally hailing their new king, Russell Wilson. Wilson high-fiving fans and getting them pumped up for practice.
Just insane. I got a high five from Russ, caught a ball from Sam Martin. Yeah, it's a lot.
Your day's off to a good start, it sounds like.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
After practice, true character shown by the players. Cortland Sutton, Russell Wilson, and others signing autographs and chatting with fans.
Russell Wilson is just a good guy, obviously a great quarterback. And it's just, it's great to be excited about a season again, where it's kind of like we have a realistic chance of making the playoff.
Brian Wang, Denver 7.
Such an exciting day and no doubt an exciting start before the preseason. The best part is we get 2 weeks of this. We'll take a closer look at the new faces today, new coach, new QB, and new owner coming up in Denver 7 Sports.
And hey, set a reminder on your phone because Broncos single game tickets go on sale next week. In fact, there is even a chance for you to snag an amazing deal for tickets and a trip to London. To quote friends, in London? Denver Broncos Charities launched the London Raffle today. It's a one-of-a-kind experience for two that includes first-class round-trip airfare, accommodations for a 5-night stay in the heart of London, 2 lower-level tickets to the Broncos-Jags game on October 30th at Wembley Stadium, behind-the-scenes access to practice, and a few London excursions. All that for a package starting at $50. You can enter at denverbroncos.com/London raffle or in person during the Broncos preseason games against Dallas on August 13th or against Minnesota August 27th. And hey, with all the details to know about Broncos training camp, including info on those single game ticket sales on the denverchannel.com for you.
So it's going to put a lot of financial pressure on increasing number of households going forward.
The Federal Reserve raising interest rates again. We look at how this latest action is going to impact your bottom line.
We're trying to do just the right amount, right? We're not trying to have a recession.
One Ukraine woman a long way from home.
I was sure that we are leaving our home like for a few days, but now it's 5 months.
But a local hospital is making sure her new baby gets a warm welcome.
The nurses just were so excited that they could make a happy moment in her really difficult journey.